Hi friends, this is Jen. We are on for our Sunday weekend wild card today. Dare I say it actually feels a little bit cold today. So I went out biking just for a little bit and I was like, oh gosh, I feel like I need like a long sleeves or something, especially when you're like not in this sun. It was actually kind of cold. So it just goes to show you that we as humans are never satisfied. It can be too hot, it can be too cold, conditions are never perfect. So I tried to, once I had that thought in my head, trying to reverse it around and just be like, no, this is like perfect temperature and we should be thankful. So anyway, hope everyone is having a really nice day. Hello, Molly. I went to climb again today, so that was really nice. It's really good to just have a base for skin, which is good just to start off with. Hey, Daniel, we are doing shoulders stuff today. Sort of like yesterday, I wanted to slow the pace down a little bit, and Emma was so kind to bring up the suggestion of shoulders. We did more splitsy, hamstring type stuff yesterday. We do so much strength throughout the week that I thought shoulders would be a nice way to, or not shoulders, Emma suggested shoulders. But I thought we'd slow things down a little bit at least and give our muscles that we work and all that stuff a little bit of a break, a stretch, all that wonderful stuff. I think today we don't really need anything. If you want, we're doing some of those shoulder flosses. So I'm just using a belt, which if you want to just grab one from your closet or anything else, you can use a towel as well. Just something that you can maybe do some flossing with, which is just this type of situation like you're scrubbing your back. That's good, but you don't need anything else. So it's pretty chill, pretty cool. Hey, Manasi, again, we're doing shoulders today. So we'll go ahead and get started. Also, just similar to the way we started yesterday. So just a kneeling position is perfect. And we'll just take a deep breath in, inhale, go. Arms up high toward the ceiling. And then exhale, give me a cactus backward bend. We usually reserve this toward the end, but really open up through your chest here. Inhale, go arms all the way up high toward the ceiling. And then find yourself at a T shape here. And then once you're at the T, we'll take a couple of cat-cows. Inhale, go open up through your chest, send your arms back, and then on your exhale, round. Separate your blades like you're going in for a hug. Inhale, go open up through your chest, squeeze your blades together, and then exhale, go round. Very deliberately separate out your blades. Again, inhale, go open up through your chest, and exhale, go round, yes. Last time here, inhale, go open up through your chest, and exhale, go round. And we'll do the same type of thing except with arms up, which is a little bit weird, I know. Inhale, go open up through your chest, draw your arms back, lift through your chest, and exhale, round. Hollow out through your front side. Inhale, go open up through your chest, and exhale, go round. Feel that sensation of broadening out your blades. Inhale, go open up through your chest. I see you, Emma. Hello. And exhale, round. Last time, inhale, go open up through your chest. And exhale, go round. And the beautiful thing about that is if you're super deliberate about it, you feel so much. So just a little of these kind of shoulder movements as you draw one arm forward. Feel like your blade is separating out away from the rest of your body. Good. And we'll just do a few more here. It doesn't need to be in any like specific tempo or sequence. Really just feel that separating of your blades. Good. And then from here, release, and we'll find ourselves just with our legs forward. Take that strap or belt or towel or whatever you have and very deliberately bend up your legs. So flex your feet back toward your face, not even like worrying about hamstring flexibility today. And we'll wrap your belt or whatever you're using just around the soles of your feet. So we talked a little bit about low back yesterday. Molly mentioned it as well. Inhale, go open up through your chest. Again, very deliberate squeeze of your blades. And exhale, go round. You're still flexing your feet. Use this tension to really separate your blades. This feels so good to me. So especially if you need like a more of an up back stretch, inhale, go open up through your chest, squeeze your blades, nice tall proud chest, and exhale round. Very deliberate hollow. And I want you to take notice if your shoulders are hiking up toward your ears, relax them down and just focus on the separation of your blades. Twice more. Inhale, go open up through your chest, and we're really looking for depth as opposed to speed, right? And exhale, go round. Sometimes I do these to the max so much that I feel even a little bit of cramping. And one more time. Inhale, go open up through your chest. Nice. And exhale, go round. So a very, very hollowed out chest, round out through your spine. Good, and then return back to center. Let's keep holding on to this. We'll drop this left hand back behind us. So you can do whatever you want with your legs. Your left elbow faces up toward the ceiling, and I'm just gonna let my hand go off of this belt. Your right hand comes down from underneath, right elbow faces down, and then grab onto wherever you can. I'm gonna sort of go as far as I can in terms of getting my fingers pretty close. And then from here, you can continue to kind of gently nudge your way up there, down there. And then from here, hold on to the strap strong on your right hand. And we'll take this left hand and floss it up. So lift your hand up and lower down, right? So this is that deliberate lift, and you should feel a little movement as you let your right hand go up a little bit higher and lift. And we'll just do 4 more of these. It's very small nudges, and lower, and go lift 3 and lower, and 2 more, go 2, lower, and 1, lower, and gently, gently release. Good. We'll reinforce that a little bit later, but for now, kind of do any circles or any movement that feels nice to you, and then we'll switch out our sides. So grab a hold of your strap with your right hand, and then drop this guy down. Your right elbow faces up. Notice my koala friend has now become my sun hat holder. All right, so your left elbow faces down, crawl your left fingers up your back. And for me, this crawl looks really like this weird little circle thing, and I just gently nudge myself a little bit closer. And it might be the case that you're pretty close up there. We discussed this at one point in time, but start to pull using your right hand, lift lower, and go lift. We'll do 8 times total. Go and lift, a little flossing here, and lower, and go lift, and lower. 4 more times, go 4, lower. We had discussed previously 3, that we've taken a break from climbing, and lower. Twice more, go 2, and a lot of us have started up again, lower, myself included, and 1, and lower down, and then gently release, take on any circles, any shapes that feel good. And then one side might feel a little bit kind of better than the other. But especially want to take advantage of the fact that we're still kind of more flexible because we haven't been engaging those muscles quite so much, especially since we're now just kind of, a lot of us are gently, testing the waters again. We're gonna make sure that we take advantage of having gained all that range of motion and to maintain it, right? So just a little bit of circles here. Yep, perfect. And then grab a hold of your strap once again. All right. So you decide how wide you want it to be. I'm gonna be fairly generous with myself to start. So it's well wider than my shoulder width, right? So let's just bring this a little bit farther back behind. And then very carefully, gently bring it forward. And do that again. Go open up through your chest. Be very careful. And gently return. We'll just do 2 more times like this. Again, be fairly generous. This is just our diagnostic to see what we're working with so far. And gently return. Last time here. Go open up through your chest. And gently return. So now that you kind of get a feel for like what your flexibility and range in your shoulders is like, make any adjustments that you need to make, and we'll go all the way down toward the floor. All right, so just 4 of them, really slow. Really open up through your chest and take advantage of whatever distance that you've decided on, so they can go all the way down. All right, and then gently, for me, it's the return that feels not as nice. And there. Okay, so that for me felt okay. Remember, we're doing 3 more of these. I'm gonna shorten up my distance like 1 hand print, right? So let's try this again. And you can decide whether you want to or not, right? At some point in time, you're gonna find that place that is your edge. All right, so go all the way down. And then be gentle, be kind to yourself as you gently, gently bring yourself back up. Okay, so that was definitely a little bit more challenging, but I think I can go a little bit closer. So I'm gonna, again, bring myself 1 fist in here. And just notice, right, I think this is gonna be my edge, but we'll see. Start to open up through your chest again. We're lowering ourselves down. And for me, I know when I'm definitely at my edge is when we return. So if I have to do any sort of jolting, did you see that? It was kind of a little jolty, but it wasn't too much that I felt like unsafe. So I'm gonna maintain this distance. So again, use these little sort of signals that your body is giving you for our final one, right? So gently, gently take this all the way back. You should feel something, right? So you want a distance that does challenge you to a certain extent, but is not gonna hurt you. Okay, so once you're finished with your 4th one, this is maybe just around my forehead ish diagonal. And then let's take it over to our right hand side, reach. And then as you reach, you're using your right hand to pull. Let this left arm go gently behind your head. And then maybe you look up toward this ceiling. I'm using my right arm to really help me pull. So there's a little bit of this backward sensation. Open up through your chest. So if you've ever worked on compass, which is one of those yoga poses where you're peeking out from underneath your arm and you have your foot in your hand, this one really feels nice to really open up through your left armpit, your left side shoulder, and a good stretch also down your tricep maybe, right? Now 1 more breath, lift, lengthen, maybe re-straighten out your arms. And exhale, give yourself just a gentle nudge. Your right hand pulls down a little bit more. Good, let's gently come back up, return back to the place. And just notice in your transitions, if there's any of these weird like shoulder jolts, you wanna just be careful about that, right? So, continuing to hold on to that good grip, start to draw your right arm a little bit back behind using the real initiator of your left arm, right? So gently pull down and feel this right arm sort of come back behind your head as much as your body allows. So this is kind of where I'm going, but maybe it is the case that it feels much better and this starts to feel unsafe to you, right? You have to make that that decision, what feels better in your body, right? So open up through your chest, shoot a big opening for your armpit, your right side shoulder, and then maybe you get into your tricep as well. For me, the tricep is a little bit more muted relative to the other places I feel the stretch. I would just take note if your left shoulder is completely pushed forward. Try to keep it pretty strong here. And allow your right side to stretch. We'll just do one more breath. Find that good tension by pulling on your left-hand side strap, reach. And exhale, maybe encourage that left hand to go down a little bit farther, open up through your chest. Good, and then gently release. We'll lose the strap for a little bit. Do any sort of shakes that you would like to do. And then we'll take our hands, interlace them back behind us. I know I'm doing these weird chickeny things. It feels good. You gotta do it feels good. So interlace your fingers back behind and just start with your palms facing the floor. And it might be the case that your hands are pretty darn close to you, right? And that's perfect. And then from here, my legs are just slightly bent. They're kind of just hanging out. Start to just walk your hands back a little bit farther, right? Whatever your body allows you to do. Keep these fingers pretty interlaced though, so if you start to notice the slippage, just go back a little bit, come out of it just a little bit, and find a pretty good solid base, right? And then notice when you're here, if your shoulders are kind of rounded on you, I'm going to open up through your chest just a little bit more, and it might be, again, not be very far, and that's okay, right? So let's say you land here being your place that feels fairly kind of on like at your edge, but still not like unsafe, right? But you're like, oh, I think I can go deeper, but I just don't want to keep on walking my hands back. This is where your legs come into play. So bend up your legs. I'm doing a very dramatic bend of my legs. And then notice where your hips are now, right? Or notice visually when you look at my screen or your screen where my hips are. And then just watch as I windshield wipe. I just want to move my hips farther and farther away from me, right? So there is movement as you windshield wipe your legs. And at some point in time, you may feel like straightening out your legs feels a little bit more natural. So do whatever, like legs bent, legs straight feels more natural to you. And notice my shoulders are dumping. I want to see if I can lift a little bit here. All right, so once you've gone to your initial windshield wipe, stay, right? We're doing kind of a big shoulder opening. So anytime you make an adjustment, we want to just stay there for a couple of breaths so our body has time to familiarize itself with this place, and for your body to feel a little bit less defensive toward this place, right? So this is like not a very comfortable position. Maybe it doesn't feel like a very intuitively like safe position for your body. So you want to give your body some time as you breathe to start to relax into that place. And then if after a couple breaths you're like, I'm good, I can keep on going, then totally continue to windshield wipe. For me, I'm just gonna focus on lift of my chest for now, right? I haven't done this in a long time, so I feel like I don't wanna get like overly exuberant and go too far. So for me, this works well. Remember, you always wanna keep just a little bit of energy or a little bit of space so that you can get yourself out of it. So you're not completely like flat on the ground. You're like, okay, now I'm just stuck here for the rest of my life. So just a little bit of space, a little bit of room. And I know I have a little bit of room because I feel like I can continue to windshield wipe a little bit more, but I'm just gonna stay here. So let's do 2 more breaths. See if you can really lift and open up through your chest. Flatten out your palms and stay for your exhale. And we'll just do that 1 more time, okay? Inhale, lengthen, open your chest. And stay for your exhale. Good. Now to come out, I'm going to just gently lean over to one side, right? That's kind of an easier out as you pick yourself up off of the floor. And then gently release those interlaced fingers. These arms totally don't want to do anything anymore, and that's just fine. So once you're finished with that, we'll give our arms just a little bit of a rest. So let's just do some circles here for our shoulders. So big shoulders coming in forward and shoulders coming in and forward. Think about your elbows drawing a big circle forward. And forward 4 more times. And this is just, we're bringing some movement, some blood flow back. 3, twice more. Go 2. Go 1, and we'll go the other direction, and go 8. So elbows circle out like you're swimming. And go 6. Yep. Imagine ink coming out of your elbows. You want to draw those big wide circles. 3 more times. Go 3, twice more. Go 2. And go 1. And then shake it out. Do whatever you need to do. Kind of bring everything back. All right. So from here, we're going to come down to the floor. So I've hopefully angled my camera enough so that we can see. We'll do just a couple of shoulder stretches, chest opening type of things. Bend your right arm, so it's just 90 degrees. Your elbow going straight out of your shoulder. Flatten out your palm, and then just notice this right shoulder will want to lift up off of the floor. So best you can, I want you to keep it plastered down. All right, and then from this place, use your left hand to push. And then notice as you push into your left palm, this right shoulder totally wants to pick up, right? I totally exaggerated that just for the visual effect. But if you already know what you're doing, of course, just do it. Just want to mention all of these little details. Check that your right shoulder is still pressed into the floor. And then use your left palm as much as you'd like to adjust the pressure, right? How much you're pushing into the stretch for your right side, chest, shoulder. And you shouldn't have to push too much for you to get a really nice big stretch here. Notice if your right shoulder is popping up off of the floor. I find that if I can push a ton into my left palm, it is often the case that my right shoulder is popped up off of the floor. And we'll just do one more breath. Notice your left shoulder, relax it down. Hug your arm, elbow in. And exhale. Good. And then gently release. We're going to stay on this side. Straighten out your right arm. So again, it's directly out your shoulder to this side. And this one, I'm going to scoot a little bit over. This one theoretically is a milder stretch, and we're just going to add a little bit to make it slightly, perhaps less mild, right? So same thing, your right shoulder stays on the floor. As you start to gently roll over to your right hand side, this should feel maybe a little bit milder, like you can push a little bit more into your left palm and you have a pretty decent stretch there. Now, if this still feels okay, you can take your left arm up and do a couple of things, right? Maybe you just bring your left arm around your waist and draw your left shoulder back, right? This to me already feels like a pretty decent stretch. If you'd like to give it a whirl, you can take your left arm and keep it straight and see if you can reach all the way over to grab your right fingers. Now this is a little bit of a blind reach, so I'm like, I haven't done this in such a long time. Let's see if I can even reach for it. There we are. So I'm like, I have this good sticky mat. Now, of course, I can't find my fingers again. I have this sticky mat which keeps my right arm in place, but sometimes it feels like it's quite difficult to keep your right arm in that same place. Oh my God, I've lost my flexibility, guys. So you can reach for your fingers. I cannot today, and see how that feels. Take one more breath. And stay for your exhale. And gently release. I kind of love that I couldn't reach it because it just goes to show you for that blind reach, it's super awkward because you're like, where are my fingers? They're there, right? All right, so gently undo and we'll switch over to the other side. Let's see what this side will bring us. All right, so we're starting out with that 90-degree angle one. Usually it is the case that the bent arm feels a little bit worse, like harder, but today I actually felt that the straight arm was a little bit harder for me. So who knows? We're always learning, right? More stuff about our bodies. Okay, so just check real quick. Your left elbow is coming straight out of your left shoulder. and that there is not too much of a gap between the shoulder and the floor, right? Really kind of sink it down there, and find a 90 degree with this left arm. Once you're definitely like pretty flat against the floor, take your right hand close to your chest and slowly push into it. Just notice you want to make sure this left shoulder stays on the floor. It's super easy to lift that up. So for me, what stayed the same is that just your fingers, your palm, your fingers pushed into the floor should offer you a pretty decent stretch. All right, if you feel like your left shoulder is popping out, it might be the case that your left elbow is too far down relative to your shoulder. So give it just a quick peek. Make sure that it is 90 degrees. Good. Hang out here. You can bend your right leg like I am doing right here. Think of opening up your hips, not only to the right-hand side, but even up toward the ceiling. I'm really finding that line between where it feels challenging and where it feels like, oh, this is not a good feeling, right? So just riding that line. We'll do one more breath here. Inhale. Take some time for yourself. On your exhale, soften, maybe deepen it a little bit more. Press your right palm into the floor. And gently release. The thing about hamstrings versus like shoulders, for instance, especially it's such a good comparison today versus yesterday, is I feel like hamstrings, although you also have to be gentle, it sort of like gives you a little bit more. It feels more elastic, whereas shoulders, you definitely they will tell you like, no, they don't offer as much flexibility. So definitely we must be patient. I'm scooting over to the right as we're moving into this next bit. I'll move in this diagonal fashion. So your left palm again flat, and then check this left shoulder. You just want to drop it down entirely. Right palm against the floor. And gently, I almost feel like when I push into my right palm, I need to move out my left arm a little bit farther for it to not pop up off of the floor. So if that is also sort of your experience, you might need to do that as well. So just on the initial movement, I feel like I have more give, right, on this straight arm than I do on my bent arm. However, I feel like with shoulders in general, I need to be slightly more mindful. So I will not generally be as aggressive in testing my range as I would with like hamstrings and splitsy like stuff. So again, if you're going for some sort of bind, your right arm might wrap around your waist. And this feels really nice to help encourage maybe your right shoulder to open up a little bit more, to open up your chest a little bit more. You no longer have the leverage of your right palm. So it really is not as accessible if you're sort of more closed to the floor with your chest. And that's fine, right? Stay here, use your palm. If this did feel quite accessible, you'd like to give it a whirl, I will give it a whirl as well. We'll see what happens. Take your right arm all the way around, and I like that I have my mat here, that I can keep my left arm in place. So you're just going for this reach, see what happens. Oh man, I do not know if I'm gonna be able to reach today. See what you can do. I can only touch fingertips. So, oh, there we go. And I feel like if it is the case that you can touch fingers, it's like sort of like, again, totally a blind reach. But for me, I can now sort of plant my right foot against the floor. And that gives me a little bit more leverage then to open up my chest, my shoulders, all those things. We'll take one more breath if you can afford to do so. I don't blame you. If you cannot, come out, totally no problem. One more breath in. And one more breath. Let yourself soften, deepen, relax into it. And then gently let go. So theoretically, after you've grabbed your fingers like once or twice, it should be a little bit of an easier grab because theoretically it's less blind. But clearly that was not the case on my first side. So that's just fine. So we went really, really open. We're just gonna go the opposite direction. So this is for if you, especially like when you're doing any sort of like eagle, this feels a little bit not so great. This will be a good one for you. But the one we just did was pretty aggressive. So give yourselves just a little bit of time to do circles or whatever you need to do to kind of bring back some flow. Actually, this feels really good to me right now, just a crossing of my arms. And if for eagle pose, you generally grab shoulders. Definitely be careful for this next thing too. It'll be so great for you, but at the same time, if it feels particularly tight or not good, just be careful, be mindful going into it. Okay. So we'll go for like a milder version to start. So that should be accessible pretty much for everybody. But once you're belly down, we'll take this right arm. Actually, let's move into sort of like a Sphinx pose-ish type thing, like here. Okay, so push your left palm into the floor and we'll take this right arm and thread it to our left-hand side. But the entire time, just like Sphinx or whatever else that we're doing, like belly down, I want you to keep your chest and shoulders kind of facing the floor, right? So push into your left palm, right arm threads through. Temptation is to open up left. I want you to square off to the front. And you can extend your left arm forward. And just allow yourself to feel the weight of your upper body naturally just providing some heaviness for your right arm. So I did that at an angle. I'll show you from directly straight on. So you're here, and fairly square. All right, so nice stretch running all the way through. Good. And we'll hang out here for just 2 more breaths. This one, it's easy to really hold up your body weight. So if that is something that you would like to do, great. If you're just noticing it and you would like to have more weight, you can start to let this left arm be more relaxed against the floor. So more of your body weight can just pour over your right arm right now. But one is not better than the other. It's just something to notice how much pressure your left palm is pushing into the floor and how much of it is taking the load off of your right arm. All right, again, one's not better than the other. It's totally dependent on how your right shoulder is feeling at the moment. Think of, though, staying long through your neck so your shoulders are fairly relaxed away from your ears. And then maybe you can even sort of pat yourself on the back with your right hand, inch your elbow a little bit farther out toward your left. And then just notice, though, as your chest maybe is inclined to open up toward the left, that you can re-square, right? Once you re-square, you generally feel a little bit more. All right, we'll just do one more breath here. And exhale. Good. And in this one, instead of like actually going to the deeper one right away, I'm going to switch our sides just so that our body has a little bit of a base. We came off of that chest opener that was pretty deep. So push into your left palm again and lift yourself up off the floor. We'll go back to where we started and do the other side first. So right palm pushes against the floor, lift, and then thread this left arm through. Again, I want you to keep pretty square. So even though your chest is inclined to move out to the right, see if you can, again, get your arm underneath your chest area and be fairly square. So even though there's the inclination to just lean over entirely, use a little bit of resistance to lift yourself back up. Good. And then stay right there. And in the beginning, for me at least, we've just switched to the sides. So this is feeling pretty fresh, pretty a lot on this left-hand side. So definitely take your time and as much load as you need to lift out of your left arm. Use your right hand to push against the floor to re-square and to help keep the load off your left arm entirely, right? So you're kind of more distributing your weight through your both arms as opposed to letting yourself fall entirely on your left arm. Good, and then from this place, you're still fairly square. Maybe you can inch your left elbow even farther out to the right-hand side. Maybe even pat your shoulder with the help of your left hand. My fingers are so like scary looking. And then the way we're positioned, it looks like, where is this hand coming from? It looks very awkward, but that is generally how I roll. So this elbow scoots out a little bit more. And then you're just letting yourself sit, hang out in a fairly square position. As much of the load as you want off of your left arm with the help of your right hand. So we'll hang out here for just a few. And then check in how long your neck is, that your shoulders are not completely hiked up to your ears. One more breath. David, you know what I'm talking about. And exhale. All right. From this place, we're again switching sides, right? So let's let it go. Push your right palm into the floor and we'll switch. So your right arm threads to the left. And this time do allow your chest to open up toward your left-hand side real quick. So you're sort of as far as you can with your right elbow over to your left. And then from there, take your left arm and thread it forward of your right arm and then move it over. And then when you do this, then we'll start to square. So this is all kind of underneath your chest. Yes, very Addams Family. Yes. We are dating ourselves, David. Okay, so initially when I did the adjustment, my right elbow felt like it was kind of slipping back under and I was no longer as far right as I could, or as far left as I could be. So I just want to kind of move it over. And this does not feel particularly comfortable. You want it more underneath your chest. And the reason I mention that it doesn't feel uncomfortable, or it feels slightly uncomfortable, is not to state the obvious, but just to sort of like, once you make that observation, just notice how your body responds to that, right? So yes, it's uncomfortable. So what do we do to make it feel slightly more palatable in our bodies, right? So we breathe, we start to exhale a little bit more. And I feel really, truly, I buy into this, that when you exhale, when you let that air, that defensiveness of your body that it naturally wants to take on because it's uncomfortable, once you kind of let that expel out of your body, right? Exhale it out, slow things down a little bit more. I think it makes a huge difference, right? Really in finding some more depth, a little bit of softness in this clearly not the most comfortable position, right? So we'll just be here for 2 more breaths and see, maybe you can again do the whole shoulder thing, just to see what it feels like. Shoulder, shoulder. Good, gently release, straighten out through your arms. And I like to unwind my left arm first. So the front arm, and then unwind that bottom arm. And totally do whatever like in between movements that you need, because that was like pretty aggressive in closing. So when you are ready to set up the next side though, your right palm goes down, your left arm is threading over. So let's push it and thread it. And I'm gonna open up my chest toward my right hand side just to get my maxed out sensation here. And then check that your arm is kind of pretty close to underneath your chest, right? And then your right arm will thread next. So as your right arm threads, you square off. But the good thing about starting off with that front arm is that it's at its maximum. And then again, for this, if some of you have done this in my class in real life before, I've given you adjustments for this, because it's kind of hard actually getting your arms to go in this direction, right? They don't want to, so a little bit of adjustment is helpful. But obviously we can't do that at the moment. And what I have found helpful just in using these mats is that they're really sticky. And so once you've set your arm or your leg or whatever that you need to do in place, it's pretty easy then to place your other arm where you want it to go. Check in this, your shoulders away from your ears, so not too spiked. And then let yourself gently, gently melt into this. So your elbows are gently, gently separating out to the right, to the left. And then maybe you do just a baby hug of yourself. Very awkward. This is very similar to what I mentioned previously. When you find your maximum, right? So generally it's like, whether you're in like frog or whatever it is, you find your maximum, you take a couple breaths, and it's only after you're like, okay, my body can do a little bit more than you, in this case then, maybe can separate your elbows out a little bit farther. And that is not like a guaranteed situation every single time. So you definitely want to take it just case by case and see how you're doing. All right, we'll do one more breath here. And exhale, melt, melt, melt. It is great. So let's unwind first. So unwind this right arm. It is great when I feel those exhales that I literally feel my body soften. It's literally like deflating, and I feel that heaviness kind of come over my body, which is really nice. Okay, so gently, gently, let's push ourselves up out of this one. And again, take on any movements, any motions, any circles that you'd like to take on. I'm gonna return to this strap thing one more time. So grab a hold of your strap. And now, because we're a little bit more open, I do want you to be even more careful then as we move with this prop, because it's really easy to then start to pop things out. So be very, very careful. We'll bring these arms all the way up once again. And if you remember where you were last, so for me, it was one fist on either side. Find that place. You can find kneeling position, you can find whatever seated position feels better to you. And we'll do a couple of those rolls. So I'm starting about like diagonal from my forehead. We'll do 4 of them. So gentle, gentle. Take it back just halfway. And just feel it out right here. All right, so my arms are slightly bent, and then maybe yours are as well. If you can see yourself, just notice if one side is sort of leaning, right? If your one side is more open than the other, it'll be very obvious here. And then lengthen, see if you can straighten out through your arms. Good. And we'll just hang out here for 4. Lengthen out through your arms. For 3, they'll want to start to bend on you, even as I'm counting. My arms are bending on me. For 2. For 1. And then wherever you are, right? So I'm here, I'm gonna just show you from this side. We'll just do very, very small and gentle pulses back. So 8, go 7, very gentle, yeah? Go for 6, and go for 5, just gently testing your edge, maybe re-straighten your arms. 4, yes. For 3, for 2, for 1. Good. From this place, let's just lower this strap down. Wow, that was pretty open, right? Went from a big open, chest opening position on the floor to a big close, and then just opening it up again. We're gonna return to the whole flossing situation. Remember when we used our strap, but we're gonna use nothing. So let's lie back down. Who doesn't like to lie down? All right, so once you're all the way down there, we'll start with our right arm. And I know it looks a little bit funny, but I'm mirroring you, so I'm not actually on my right arm. Straighten out your right arm up overhead next to your ear. Bend up your left leg, and then roll yourself over to the right hand side, so you're now lying on top of your right arm. And then take your left arm and crawl your fingers up your back. All right, so it looks like this, but you're still lying down on your left hand side. And so for me, sorry, you're still lying on your right hand side. Look at me getting my lefts and rights confused. So for me, I'd like to do this whole like encouragement thing. Just a little bit of a nudge, nudge, nudge until I definitely feel I'm at my maximum. And then once you're at your maximum, you don't have to be there just quite yet. Spread your 5 fingers out wide, right? So your left fingers are spread out wide. You're lying down on this right hand side. And then once you've spread your fingers out wide, gently, gently lie down on top of your spread out fingers, your palm, and then reposition yourself. For me, just even in this repositioning, it feels like I can do a little bit of encouragement as well. So your palm is flat, your arm that's like glued underneath you is secure. All you're doing is doing a little bit of a lift up and getting your left elbow a little bit closer to your body. So it's a little hugging now. And then from there, see if you can maybe pick up your hips and scoot your hips away from you. If that doesn't really work, you can do again those windshield wiper legs, right, left, to scoot your hips farther away from you, right? So scoot your hips farther away from your fingers, basically. And then with whatever adjustment that you make, I want you to take some breaths, hang out. And after those couple of breaths, if you feel that your body is willing to do it, you can continue on. And I don't know, like, is it better to do a big adjustment and hang out, or a whole bunch of little adjustments and do the little bit of hangouts in between? I don't know that one is better than the other. If you already sort of know that you can do like a big adjustment in the beginning, like I probably would do that, but I don't think that's better or worse. I just think, like, for me, it's just easier to get there. It is more efficient to get there from the beginning, because then I can spend more time there. But I think that if you feel sort of safer and you prefer to move in a much sort of smaller steps, but more of them, totally feel free to do that, right? Because why not? But every single adjustment that you make, you just take some time, spend some time. And then with this free arm, you can bend it as well. And then, so my fingers are already pretty close, so I can match my fingers. I don't know if you can really see there, but your right elbow then is up. And then I feel like this sometimes works on people. It doesn't always work on people, which is getting your head to sort of press down on your right forearm. Getting a little stretch in your right tricep. And now that we've hung out here for a little bit, it's more likely than not that you've finished any sort of adjustments that you want to make on your left arm. So you can then decide if you like your legs bent or if you prefer them to go straight. I don't think there's, again, one is not better than the other. I do think that whichever one you choose, I want you to notice what your lower back is doing. So sometimes our bodies do different things to have a little bit of like defensiveness, right, to protect you. And one of those things, I think, in this position is just that your spine will want to arch on you. So of course, you know that you're doing something that's like safe, that's fine, like you're not in danger. So I want you to feel if your low back is super arched up off of the floor, if you can let that soften, let that relax. And each time that you send that signal to your body that you're in a perfectly safe situation, you're not in danger, I think it really helps your body be willing to enter this posture again without that, and it won't immediately go into that defensiveness, right? With these things, though, we do need to give ourselves time, patience, all that wonderful stuff, which we often don't have the patience to do, right? Give ourselves time. And then just one more thing besides the low back situation, check in with your left shoulder. Just like earlier when we were doing those chest stretches, the chest opening, your shoulder will want to pop up off of the floor. This is sort of a little bit different, but allow your left shoulder to soften. Relax a little bit more. So every single time what you're doing is just telling your body that you're just fine, all right? So with every exhale, you got to actually let your body relax, right? It's what you're telling your body and what your body is physically feeling start to become more and more congruent. One more breath. Inhale. And exhale. Dare I say that felt kind of relaxing even. All right, let's lengthen out this free arm. So this should be your right arm. And then if your legs are not bent, bend them, at least your left leg. So you can use this left foot to push and roll yourself over to your right side again and gently free out your left arm. And for me, I was mirroring you, and that was my right arm, and that felt, generally it is the case that for me, I'm right dominant, so that was aggressive, but it felt good, and now I'm happy that I only have the other side to do. All right, so when you're finished doing whatever circles that you want to take on, give yourself one more actually. Because it's weird, like we're doing all this like aggressive stuff with this left arm, and this next bit, just setting it up on the other side, feels like, even though it's like very easy, it feels like terrible. So do whatever you need to do. Circle out even your wrists, yeah? And let's roll over to the other side. So your left arm is gonna stay up. Roll over to your left-hand side. Be careful, be careful. Yeah, and then once you're there, let's take this right arm and then inch it up our back. So I'm gonna post up a little bit, just in case you want a visual. And then doing a lot of encouragement here. Especially generally, it is the case that this right arm just does not love to be in this place. Okay. Once you feel like you've done your maximum, right? This is like the pre-homework type business before you actually get into it. Spread your fingers out wide and then gently, gently flatten yourself over. Taking care that this right elbow is pretty close to your body, right? So as I adjust, I'm gonna move slowly into it. As I adjust, I wanna make sure this right elbow stays fairly close, just because once it veers out toward the right, it's really hard to bring back, right? And I sort of have to do the whole setup over again. So I like to keep it close, and I personally like to do those bigger adjustments and fewer of them. And then you can, again, lift your hips up and scoot your hips farther away from you. This is totally personal preference though. So if you're somebody who prefers to do smaller adjustments, but more of them, totally do that. Whatever gets you there is perfect. All right. Take note, your fingers are spread wide, your right elbow is pretty close to your body. And allow your right side shoulder to relax. When you feel like these elements are kind of coming together for you and they feels like kind of pretty calm, not too many fires that you need to take care of, then start to move into this left arm, right? So this left arm should be free. You can bend it and see if you can match your fingers, right? Your left elbow faces up toward the screen. And then if it works proportionally, again, I think 50-50, it works, it doesn't work. Your head can provide a little bit of pressure for your left forearm. Right, with the right side sort of feeling a little bit inflamed on that shoulder, use your exhales. Right, use your exhales to train your body to have a physical response, right? So which is just calm and breath and relaxation. And then actually allow it to do it too, right? So there's so much like this mind-body connection. Sometimes we tell our bodies to do something, our bodies don't necessarily do it, right? But little bit, we still want to, send that message that we're in a safe position. This is not in, we're not in danger. And train our bodies to really respond in that fashion. And of course, it takes some time. Of course, it takes some practice, right? Sometimes we tell our bodies to do something and it's just not ready for whatever reason to respond in the way that we are telling it to. And that might be the case today, which is totally, totally fine. Make any of those windshield wiper adjustments that you'd like to make. Maybe you can close off the space between your fingers a little bit more. But maybe you just stay still which is oftentimes the most difficult thing to do anyway. Every exhale, soften in a little bit deeper, and we'll just take one more breath here. Full deep in through your nose, and full deep exhale out through your nose. All right, from here, if your legs are straight, bend them up. And then free out your left arm. And then use your right sole of foot to push against the floor, roll over to your left-hand side again. And then gently, gently free out this right arm. Take on any shapes, any circles that you'd like to take on. And just breathe. And it's weird because, take your time. It's weird because, like, for me, like, my right shoulder, that whole area, it's dominant. It definitely feels like not as good as we're doing these types of stretches. But then, like, it doesn't make sense because when it comes to my fingers, my left fingers have sort of more like issues. Like when I do certain things with my left middle finger, it makes little crunchy noises. So I can't really explain it. Maybe it's because my right arm is stronger and then my left fingers have to grip a little bit harder. So there's like asymmetries, you know, whether it's your shoulders or fingers or whatever it is, and that's totally normal, totally fine. So let's again take on some circles just to bring on some movement again. And then this time we'll try again without this strap, unless you feel like for sure, like my fingers are not gonna touch, totally use this strap. We'll do the flossing again, right? So actually the very first thing we'll do without. So everyone will do without. So take your arms into a T, and we'll start with this right elbow up, left elbow down, and then do this without touching your back. So this is just a exercise to find range of motion in our shoulders. We're not really going for touching our fingers. And then return back to the T, and we'll switch left elbow up, right elbow down. Again, not touching your back. Lift your chin up and return to that T. And we'll just do 2 more times. Right elbow up, left elbow down, chin up, and return. Keep a fairly long spine, straight spine, and left elbow up, right elbow down. Not touching our back, not touching our fingers, or maybe you're touching your fingers, I don't know. And return back to the T. And so this time we will just go ahead and touch your back and see if you can actually grab for something. So you're in your T, right elbow up, left elbow down. Totally reach for your back, see if you can grab onto anything. And if you're like not grabbing onto anything and you'd like to, totally use your strap. You don't have to, right? And then we'll just take a couple of cat-cows. I know, super weird. Inhale, go open up through your chest. Maybe even use your head to push your right forearm back. And exhale, go baby, baby round. Super baby. Super baby. Inhale, go open up through your chest. The things I say, I tell you. And exhale, go round. It's a very mild one. Twice more. Inhale, go open up through your chest. See if you can grab your fingers a little bit closer each time on the inhale. And exhale, round. Last time, inhale, go open up through your chest. And exhale, round. Good, gently release, come back to neutral and shake it loose. Do whatever you need to do. And of course, our other side. So find your T again when you're ready. Left elbow up, right elbow down. This time we are grabbing best we can. So grab, grab, grab. See if you can do it. Oh, it's a good day for me. I can actually grab with this one. All right, so we have our cat-cows. Inhale, lift up. Maybe use your head to push your left forearm back. And exhale, go round, very mild. Inhale, go open up through your chest. You can grab a little bit more of your fingers. And exhale, go round. Little mild rounding here. Twice more. Inhale, go open up through your chest. And exhale, go round. Oof. Last time, inhale, open up through your chest. And exhale, go round. And gently come back to neutral, release your arms. Ooh, that right arm still feels, whew, not amazing, but it's fine. Do any circles, anything you need to do for yourself. And this is pretty much where we call it a day. Totally be good to yourself. We did a lot of like big shoulder stuffs today. So these are just samples of things we can do for ourselves, after we do any strength type of stuff, just to keep the range of motion going. Strength is so good, but as we know, it oftentimes causes us to lose flexibility. We have 6 seconds remaining. Thank you everyone for being here. You are amazing. Thanks for joining, and I will see you